Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Canellis from Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week on First and North. Let's bring in the crew. The voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller from Fox in Detroit. From Fox Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. And from Fox in Minneapolis, Ahmad Hicks. Hello to you all. NFL preseason started Thursday in Canton. 4 new Pro Football Hall of Famers celebrated, which we will get into in a second. I do want to start with the game itself, Dan. Lions had 5 turnovers on Thursday night. I get it. Hall of Fame game, first preseason game for any NFL team this year. But what were your thoughts on what you saw from the Lions?
Look, I think any coach would tell you that he wants every single one of his players to value ball security. And you can say, look, these are guys that aren't going to be playing in any high-leverage situations when the regular season starts, and for the most part, you're going to be correct, barring significant injuries. But no coach wants to come out of a game with 5 turnovers and giving up 14 points early in the game off turnovers and not being able to generate sustained offense. So I think what you come out of it with is an understanding that, yes, these are backups, but also that you want them to be able to sustain an attack, find a way to keep the football moving down the field, find a way to stop them from moving down the field, value the football, and then do your individual studies on each player to see how they acquitted themselves and whether or not they can be a part of the solution going forward. So final score wasn't great, execution wasn't great, but there's always something to be gained from it because you're learning about these players.
All right, Dan, I want the audience to hear Dan Campbell, who spoke to the media afterwards. And as you just mentioned, this man was not too pleased with his team's effort.
The story of the game is we turned it over 5 times, and then we didn't get any takeaways. So that's hard, you know. And offensively, like we said, it's hard to get in a rhythm when you turn the ball over like that, or you're getting ready to start a drive and we kick off return, punt return. So just that was kind of the nature of it. We're excited to watch some of these guys, see how they did, grade the tape, learn from it, grow from it. That's what it's about. So next one.
Dan, you know Dan Campbell better than any of us. And Campbell also said, to quote him, "You're wearing Lions gear. You've got to take care of the football, or it's going to be hard to keep you around." First preseason game, as I mentioned. You know this guy. How much of what he's saying is a lot of hot air, and how serious is he in sending a message to some of the players that couldn't hold on to the football?
Oh, I think he's extremely serious about that. I mean, look, it's in this league, the biggest indicator of winning and losing is the turnover margin. And if you're going to be a -5, you're not winning. So there's a teachable moment in here that they can say to their players, look, fellas, we can't do this. We can't give up possessions. We can't give up the ball at the plus 28 at the inside the 10-yard line. You can't do that and survive in this league. So, look, I think it's what he said. I think it's talking to these players about understanding what it takes to win in the National Football League and what kind of execution it takes to win in the National Football League. But I think it's also important to realize that the biggest thing they will take out of this game is watching each of those players individually and seeing how they acquitted themselves. Did they do their jobs? And where does that leave them on the possible depth chart going forward?
All right, let's talk about the Hall of Famers before I bring you in, Lily. Touching moment from Sterling Sharpe and his brother, who was also there, Shannon, during his acceptance speech. Listen in.
As one half of the first brothers selected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you got to come up here and stand next to me, my man. You got to do it. It would be a extreme privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything athletically of value, but it would be my extreme pleasure for you to be the only player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame with 2 gold jackets.
Yeah, great moment. First pair of brothers to both get the call to the Hall. Sterling Sharpe, not a long career, but I'll tell you what, he was a difference maker out there wearing that Packers uniform. Lily, what were your thoughts on what you saw there with Sterling?
Yeah, very well deserved. And you brought up a good point of just 7 seasons of pro football in Green Bay, and he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. So a lot of what if, right? Yeah, Sterling Sharpe's career cut short by that neck injury, but you had to think if he didn't get injured, what could have been for his career? But what he did in 7 seasons in Titletown obviously will be cemented in the Hall of Fame forever. I mean, he was such a very steady wide receiver. His game really expanded when Brett Favre came to Green Bay, and he was so reliable and just a phenomenal player. And the fact that he had to wait basically 30 plus years to get his call into the Hall says a lot, and the wait was well worth it. Sterling Sharpe, a Hall of Famer, and what I loved about it was the fact that he was able to get on stage with Shannon, who was inducted years earlier, and share that moment with his brother. He mentioned doing it for an audience of 1, which of course was Shannon Sharpe. So I love that touching moment at the end there with his brother to give him his gold jacket and know the fact that these guys have made history as the first set of brothers in the Hall. So I thought it was a phenomenal weekend. Very well-deserved honor for Sterling Sharpe, and Packers Nation loves to see that.
Yeah, I love to see it as well, even though I'm not a Packers fan. We all know that. All right, next up was Jared Allen. This guy spent 6 seasons with the Vikings, obviously started his career in Kansas City, was here in Chicago with the Bears for a season and a half and finished up in Carolina. Guy was a monster. Man, I remember hating this guy when he was one of the Purple People Eaters. And I know he wasn't one of the official Purple People Eaters, but he ate up the Bears every time they ended up in Minnesota against Jared Allen. When this guy stepped foot onto the football field, man, he was one of the game's best. Check it out.
There's only 2 types of people. There's boat anchors who drag you down, and there's people who elevate you. And you are a true game elevator. You're one of the smartest people I know. I am in awe of you every single day, and I love you more than life itself. To my amazing daughters, Brindley and Lakeland. Through this process, the word legacy has been talked about a lot. The Hall often says they're here to tell my story. Well, I'm here to tell you two, you are my greatest accomplishments.
What I do remember about Jared Allen when he played for the Bears a year and a half, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him a few times, and I really liked the man. He was a good man. I know he joked about not getting emotional, Ahmad, but I'll tell you what a touching tribute from a guy who was, man, so feared on the football field, right?
You know, I think it's always a good thing to see these big masculine men, you know, who are so dominant on the football field get in touch with their emotional side. You know, that's something that fans often don't get a chance to see. And when you get up there and you get that gold jacket, I'm sure it's just a rush of emotions that hit guys like Jared Allen and Sterling Sharpe and so on. They got inducted into the Hall of Fame. But nonetheless, happy for him here in Minnesota. He was a class act throughout his entire time here. In his career, 130 plus sacks. I mean, this guy was a force to be reckoned with. And I'm sure offensive tackles just had nightmares the night before they played against Jared Allen and his defensive line. 4-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. I mean, when you look at those numbers, he just had a phenomenal career. Then also had a chance to play in the Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers. In his final game, he did not win it, but he did get a chance to suit up and take part in a Super Bowl. So you're just happy for him for that and happy for the way that he went out. And you got to love that speech. You know, he showed up for his wife and his daughters right there. He won't be sleeping on the couch anytime soon.
No,
that's for sure.
You won't. Hey, before we get into training camp, I want to bring in Dan Miller, because Dan, you've been calling play-by-play for over 30 years in the NFL, and you saw both these guys on the football field playing for the Packers and Allen in his entire career. Give me a quick 30, 45 seconds on both those players.
Well, and throw Antonio Gates in there, too, Detroit's own from Detroit Central, and a basketball player who became an NFL Hall of Famer, and Eric Allen, who I'm sitting next to Lomas Brown in the box doing our game, and he's like, I love that guy. I said, how do you know him? He goes, just competing against him.
Wow.
I mean, these are the best of the best. And look, Jared Allen terrorized the Lions. That's what he did. He was a great football player. Chased Dan Orlovsky out of the end zone. Dan, I'm sorry I had to bring that up, but he did that, and that turned that into a safety. And then, look, Sterling Sharpe had one of the most infamous plays in the history of the Detroit Lions, catching that play from Brett Favre for a win and knocking the Lions out of the playoffs. So all of these guys touched all of the cities in the NFL, even the ones they didn't play in, through the type of players that they were and the memories that they generated with their efforts.
All right, I want to get into a little bit of training camp. Let me start here in Chicago. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky said Caleb has a lot to prove. The most to prove is really what he said. And Caleb Williams continues to get hate online. Kyle Brandt has chimed in. I get the criticism. First, Brandt and Orlovsky haven't seen all the practices. Haven't been to as many practices as the beat writers here in town. But here's the rub, guys. We have seen this quality of play during training camp from Bears quarterbacks in the past. Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields, to name the last two. Matt Nagy, he coddled Mitch Trubisky. Ask him. He admits that it was his mistake. 5 preseason games in 2018, Trubisky throws all of 18 passes. The next year, he didn't even throw 1 pass during the preseason. And did Trubisky ever show that this guy was worthy of being the number 2 pick in the draft? No. Matt Eberflus barely played Justin Fields during the 2023 preseason, and the Bears opened up 0-4 and then 2-7, and Fields has bounced from Pittsburgh to the Jets now. I get it. It is still early in training camp. I'm not jumping over all over Caleb Williams yet. But not getting snaps off in time in front of the fans is going to draw this type of reaction. And this is what happened Sunday at Soldier Field at the Bears Family Fest. Defenses, yes, typically ahead of the offense at this time of training camp. And it's silly to worry today, but I've said it before and I'll say it again on this show. New head coach, new play caller, new offensive scheme. It's going to take Caleb Williams some time in this town, and it may take him to the middle of October. I've said it. Slow start for the Bears. J.J. McCarthy, he'll get the nod, start Saturday's preseason game, just his second NFL preseason appearance. Ahmad, how long will McCarthy be out there, and what do you expect to see from him Saturday?
I have to imagine he'll just be out there for 1 series or 2. It really depends on how that first series looks. If it's a 3-and-out or they're not really, efficient and whatnot, you can see him trot back out there for a second one. But the fact of the matter is he won't have Justin Jefferson out there. He won't have Will Fries more than likely at his right guard position, and he won't have Ryan Kelly at his center position or TJ Hockenson. So you're talking about throwing a guy out there in the fire with his backup offensive line and none of his superstar wideouts. I just think that's a disaster waiting to happen. So I think you just get him out there for 1 drive, let him get his feet wet, let him get comfortable calling some calls in the huddle, and then you get him out of there and get ready for the joint practices with the New England Patriots here in Minnesota next week.
Lily, give me a minute. What's the latest on Nate Hobbs?
Yeah, Nate Hobbs had to have a minor knee procedure done over the weekend. He got tackled last Thursday in practice, didn't really think anything of it, learned he tore part of his meniscus, so had to get that procedure done, so he will miss the rest of training camp. He talked today in the locker room. He's optimistic, had a big smile on his face, but the prognosis is that he should hopefully be able to return before the start of the season, or at least be able to play week 1 against the Detroit Lions. So a big bummer to have a starting cornerback out for the rest of training camp in his first year with the Packers, but at least they're doing it now and not later. So Packers faithful, pretty hopeful that he will be back and in better shape.
Dan, last 30 seconds. Any status on some of the Lions injuries?
Yeah, Dan Jackson's going to be down for a while, probably the season, the rookie safety out of Georgia. Ennis Rakestraw doesn't look great. He's got a shoulder injury. They are still evaluating that, but Dan Campbell didn't give a lot of reason for hope there. Good news is Taylor Decker back and working his way towards practice, doing individual drills. So some guys coming in, some guys coming out. They lost a couple of guys in practice that left and did not return in their last workout. We'll see what they're able to do on Wednesday this week, but certainly Jackson was somebody they were counting on for special teams and in a backup safety role. And Rakestraw, this would be the second year out of 2 that the second-round draft pick has major injury issues. So we'll see what the ultimate story is on him when that verdict comes back.
Ahmad, TJ Hockenson, anything we should be concerned about?
They just called it a minor leg, ankle, hamstring type issue. Consider him day-to-day. Doesn't think that it'll be a big concern here for the remainder of training camp. So only time will tell, but we'll see next week out at practice versus the Patriots.
All right, nice job. We need to take a timeout. When we come back, more NFC North players cracking the NFL's top 100 list. We'll tell you who got in there. And will the Packers finish last in the division? We are going to discuss that coming up next here on First and North.
Major League Baseball on Fox.
Hey, what I'm doing? Hey.
getting right to it. The money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do it.
Oh my goodness! Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Welcome back. NFL's top 100 list continues to roll out. Lions edge rusher. This guy's a monster. He's number 55. Dan Miller, Aiden Hutchinson, coming back from the injury from last season. But, man, I see some of the practice videos. This guy looks active. He doesn't look like he was out most of last season.
I got to tell you, man, he looks so good. And Kelvin Shepard, the defensive coordinator, said it. He looks better to him than he did last year before the injury. And I'm going to tell you something. Number 55 is going to make number 97 angry because I believe he should be higher than that. I guarantee you he believes he should be higher than that. And I'd bet dollars to donuts that he will be higher than that next year, assuming he has health this season. Aiden is a game changer and a game wrecker, and I think he's going to be ready to go from the start this year. I anticipate he's going to have a big season. And don't forget, guys, there is a new contract waiting out there for him. So this is a contract year as well. While he still has a 5th year coming up, this is the time when normally these guys get their new contracts. And with that market for defensive ends now being set $40, $41, $42 million, Aiden Hutchinson may reset that market when he signs that contract. I think he's in great shape. I think 55 is too low.
Danny, you got me worried. I'm going to say it right now. This guy's going to be the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. I'm just going to say it right now.
He looks the part. He looked the part last year.
Jonathan Grenard
may have something to say about that.
Yeah,
Lou.
I was going to say.
I don't know. A little competition.
$76 million for Grenard, huh?
Yeah, and he's one of those guys, like you talked about, Aiden Hutchinson. He came in with this camp just with the mindset that he wanted to up it another level. He's coming off an all-pro season last year, and the motto that he came up with this year is more is required. And the Vikings have that printed out. The coaches are wearing those shirts. The players are wearing those shirts. And they all understand what they did last year was not good enough. If they want to go win a Super Bowl, it starts now, and you have to have that championship mentality from day one in training camp. And it's something he's been doing, and, he's been chirping at his teammates. He told some of the backup offensive linemen after a one-on-one drill, he was like, y'all gonna need some help. And that's the type of energy he's bringing out in practice each and every day. So he's a true leader on this football team, and they're glad he's in purple this year.
All right, don't tell Grenard that I said that Hutchinson's going to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. By the way, Grenard checking in at number 48. I want to continue talking about edge rushers because I'd be remiss if I didn't get into a little bit of Micah Parsons' crazy talk here in Chicago with you guys in Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay. Parsons shocking the NFL right now, requesting a trade from the Cowboys. I know he doesn't want to be traded. The Cowboys, in my opinion, don't want to trade him. I don't care what Jerry Jones says about, playing out contracts and playing on I just don't buy what Jerry says because I've seen this before, whether it was Emmitt Smith, Zach Martin, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb. They all still got mega deals from Jerry Jones. Parsons, don't misunderstand me. This guy deserves to be the highest paid defensive player in football, even though I'm picking Hutch to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. But Parsons has been the most consistent, best defensive player in the game. And he's probably going to even get better. Multiple NFL people have said that if you're thinking trade, all right, let's play this out, that you really should look at what the Bears gave up in 2018 for Khalil Mack as the best comparison. And this is what the Bears gave up, if you all forgot, because I didn't. 2 first-round picks, a third-rounder, a sixth-rounder, and then the Bears had to give Mack a new contract. To me, that's what's not spoken enough about because they gave him a record 6-year, $140 million contract. I'm not saying the Bears should do this with Parsons. They can't. They've already spent big on Dio Adeyingbo, Grady Jarrett. They're on the hook to Montez Sweat. They've got a $98 million deal with Sweat. The Bears just can't pull off a trade like this for Micah Parsons. And I know a bunch of Bears fans watching right now are saying, Lou, you're a party pooper. Dan, are you willing to give up the farm in Detroit for Parsons?
Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, and on and on and on. You've already paid Amon-Ra and the rest of these guys, Jared Goff and David Montgomery and Penei Sewell. The Lions can't afford to take on another $42 million contract. It's not happening in Detroit. I just don't see any way. And guys, he's not getting traded. Jerry Jones would be run out of Texas if he traded Micah Parsons. There's just no way. Lou, it's a great point. You can dream about it, and I know sometimes the fans think that the salary cap isn't a real thing. It is a real thing, and there comes a point where that real thing makes you lose players you want to keep.
Makes no sense in Green Bay, right, Lily?
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say, in a year where they lost Luka, can you imagine if they lost Micah Parsons? I feel like Dallas fans would revolt. So I don't think there's any way they let Micah Parsons walk out that door. The Packers will not have the resources to pony up that money. I know Micah Parsons is close with Jordan Love. I know there was this video that kind of went viral about kind of hinting at coming to Green Bay potentially between the two of them, but I don't see it happening whatsoever. They have to pay guys next year who are also in contract years. They don't have the money, and they frankly don't have the draft picks that I would assume Brian Gutekunst would want to give up to get a guy like Micah Parsons. So it's also fun to dream as well, like Dan said, in Packerland, but the Packers are counting on their current guys in the room to provide that pass rush. I don't see Micah Parsons being in that equation as well.
Lily, let me stay with you because Fox Sports released its NFL Power Rankings. I was blown away. Packers at number 5. Who put this list together? Lions at 9, Vikings at 15, Bears at 17. Come on! Green Bay, a top 5 team.
Listen, that's a smart list right there. I think the Packers, listen, I think it also is high considering how porous they were in their division last year. But you know what? I think the sky is the limit for this team. I think a lot of it is riding on Jordan Love and him being the best version of himself. And if that comes along, the defense, I think, will be another level better this season. So I think they're going to be a much better team than they were last year. Top 5 team. Listen, I would love for that to be the Packers at the end of the year, even top 2, not 2. But we'll see how it trends. But I think it is encouraging that people believe the Packers are trending in the right direction this season.
Lions should be 5. What about it, Ahmad? Vikings 15? Fair?
I think that's a good place to be right now. J.J. McCarthy hasn't proven anything, but that defense certainly looks good on paper, and I think they'll hold up the water for the first half of the season. So you got to let J.J. develop and go out there and mature. So 15 is just spot on for them right now.
Dan, 9 too low for Detroit. You agree with me?
Look, they got some questions. So you got some questions on the offensive line. You've got some questions with 2 new coordinators, and those have to be answered. And we cannot answer those questions fully until we get into the regular season and see them playing and see these coordinators call a game. So honestly, I don't care where they're ranked because I can tell you right now that all of the information that we need to ultimately rank them isn't in. And I will say this, and I've said it to others. The Packers have fewer questions going into the season than other teams do because the Lions have coordinators, the Lions have offensive line changes, the Vikings and Bears have quarterbacks that haven't proven anything in this league or haven't played in this league. So maybe it makes sense that Green Bay's ranked where they are right now, but it doesn't mean that's where they're going to end up.
All right, David Kaplan, ESPN Radio here in Chicago, hopped on the ESPN Madison station. He made a bold claim. Don't know if you heard this, Lily, but you're going to hear it now. This is where he thinks the Packers are going to finish this season.
I know everybody up in Green Bay and up in Wisconsin, and I live in Oshkosh part of the summer. I have a home there. Yeah. All I hear about is how great the Packers are going to be. Let me just remind you that if you don't, with a fingertip, block the field goal to beat the Bears in Chicago, you go 0-6 in the division. 0-6, not win a game. And then we rolled in and beat your in Lambeau the end of the season. So I think the Packers are headed for dead last.
Lily, what do you think?
Yikes.
Well, last time I checked, the score was 24-22, not 42-22. So it wasn't like they beat down the Packers. Jordan Love and Christian Watson left that game with injury. So, all right, Bears come into Lambeau and beat them. Good. But I don't see how last year's results will equal the Packers being dead last in the division. I understand it's fun to talk about the Packers and the Packers being bad as a Bears analyst, but listen, I don't think the Packers are going to be dead last, let's be honest.
Come on, we're trying to stir the pot early right now in August. We need to take our final timeout. A mom shows off her athleticism and does her best Justin Jefferson impersonation. I don't know if you guys saw this. Check it out right after this on First and North.
This is the future of golf. It all starts here. Live Golf on Fox.
This is going to be hot. It'll be a party. Long live golf.
Let's go!
All right, I don't know if you guys saw this video on the NFL. It's a video out by the NFL on their Twitter account today, and I wanted to share it. A mom, look at a route she runs.
Oh.
With her son in the backyard. How about that, right? Nice catch.
In a dress.
Now check out the celebration.
That's awesome.
Here we go.
Oh.
There we go. Ahmad, what would Justin Jefferson say about that? Would she be impressed?
The grittiest worldwide. He would rank that a 10 out of 10. A mom schooling her son. That builds character right there for that son.
Oh, man. Nice work, Mom.
Gave him a little lean, outcut. That
a post corner route
Good
for Mom,
her.
a double
Nice.
move. My gosh.
You know what? That looked like an Ahmad Hicks when he was playing his college football. Remember
Maybe
those
in high school.
days?
Give not
high
college.
school.
High school. I'll give you
Great
that.
show, guys. Always great to talk to you. For Dan, Lilly, and Ahmad, I'm Lou Canellis. We'll see you next week on First and North.